Hey, good afternoon. Russell Hotels going live just for a couple minutes. You guys know how I do it. I do these daily check-ins daily around noon. So happy Thursday. So I hope you guys are well. What is it? November 16th. Is it today the 16th? Yeah, today is the 16th. I do these daily check-ins. Talk about a little bit about, things that happen in hotels and, the goings on in hotels and stuff like that. So let me just make sure I turn this volume down. I had to make sure I was live on LinkedIn and live on YouTube, which those are my platforms of choice, but I do put the same video on Facebook and Twitter as well. So if you happen to be there, you can check those out as well. If you don't follow me on LinkedIn, please do so. If you don't subscribe to my YouTube channel, please do that as well. I do appreciate it. Let me put my glasses on so I can see. Let me put the chat on. You can feel free to make comments. It's all about engagement for me. It's not just about me talking because I can do that. I can definitely handle that part of it, right? But I like the engagement. I like, when people let me know that they're there. It's funny, I get a lot of comments offline, right? So people will send me text messages or email me or just instant or in messages on LinkedIn saying, "Hey, I listened to the show. Thank you so much." Or, whatever I was talking about, they like whatever I was talking about. I said, "Well, why don't you, you can let me know that you're there, right? Just make a comment. Say, hey, I'm in LA. Hey, thank you. Whatever, boo. What the hell are you talking about? You can say anything. It's all about the engagement. So I like when I know that people are actually there live, right? Not that, it's a big deal, but I just like to, to give people, give people shout outs. That's what I like to do. I like to mention people. So if I happen to see your name pop up because you made a comment, I'm gonna give you a shout out. So at the very, minimum, you're gonna get a shout out. So there you go. So it's all about the engagement. It's all about, growing that community. So yeah. So we a lot of times us as entrepreneurs think we're out here by ourselves, right? Think we're just out here doing our thing and no one else goes through the same things that we do. No one else is listening, but that's not the case, right? So we do have a community. We do, all that kind of stuff. So if you're there, make a comment. That's all it comes down to. So there you go. But hey, every day I do this Monday through Friday, right? Then every day, at least Monday through Friday, I have a topic that I'm gonna talk about, right? So today is no different. And sometimes these topics, I throw them out there and people are like, where'd you get that one from? Or I don't agree with that. And that's fine. You don't have to agree with everything I say. That's fine because, that's okay. I'm still going to put the stuff out there. And these things don't have to be long, right? I don't have to, these daily check ins don't have to be long and drawn out. I try to get to the point and move on because we all got things to do, okay? I ain't no different. I got things to do too. So, okay. So, real quick, here we go. Boom. Responsibility of an HR director in a hotel. What? You pulled that one out, Russell? What is that all about? I don't like my head being covered, so can I put it up there? So yeah, so I put it up there. Responsibility of a HR director in a hotel. Why did I come up with this one? A lot of times, well, most times that when I talk about different things, it comes from my own experience. But lately, I've been getting comments and I've been having conversations. Let's say this: I've been having conversations with people that I used to work with, either colleagues or people that I don't even know. They just ask me for advice on different things, and for whatever reason, the common thing is that keeps coming up are HR directors and their relationships with the managers on property, right? Their relationships or their dealings with or whatever it is. So I'm gonna go into a little more in a minute when I get to some of the things that they're supposed to do, their responsibilities. Now, let me just throw a disclaimer out here. I've never been an HR director. Don't want to be an HR director because I think, well, that's not what I was trained to do, right? First of all, let me say that I was not trained to do that. And the good ones do a great job, right? But the great ones, the good ones, it's a lonely job. And I'm gonna get to why it's a lonely job. It should be a lonely job because you're kind of out there on your own, and you should be out there on your own. So I'm gonna get to that in a minute. But like I said, feel free to make your comments. If you don't like it, I mean that's fine. You don't have to agree with anything that I say, but These are things that, anyway. So these are things that we know that they do, right, for the most part. And I'm going to go through this, okay? So I'm going to go through these real quick, let you know. First of all, the role of a human resource director or manager, depending on the size of your hotel, it can be a manager, it can be a director. The role of an HR director in a hotel is crucial in managing the workforce for ensuring the smooth function of various HR-related functions. While the HR director collaborates closely with the general manager to align HR strategies with the overall business goals, there's often a need for HR to operate with a degree of independence to uphold fairness, employee well-being, and compliance. So here's a few things that, like I said, that they do. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 right there. I'm gonna come up with. There's another 6 one that's gonna have its own page because it's the most. I think it's the most important thing. And part of it was just in that little paragraph that I read. So recruitment and staffing. So we know that HR directors are responsible for managing the recruitment and selection process. They work with department heads and the general manager, who is the head of the hotel, to identify staffing needs, develop job descriptions, conduct interviews, and make hiring decisions. Okay, we know that. Okay, the second one, training and development. HR directors oversee employee training and development programs to ensure that staff members have the necessary skills and knowledge to perform their roles effectively. This involves collaborating with department heads to identify training needs. So they're involved in recruiting, staffing, training, and development. Okay, we know that. For the most part, we know that. Employee relations. Managing employee relations is a critical aspect of the HR director's role. They address employee concerns, conflicts, and work to maintain a positive, productive work environment. In situations where issues involve management, the HR director may act as the mediator. Yeah, that's their job, right? To be the mediator, to be that person that no one else wants to. They don't want to take on that role, right? They want to do their own thing, right? Well, we need somebody that's strong in that position. What's the next one? Compensation and benefits. HR directors are responsible for designing and managing the organization's compensation and benefits programs. A lot of times you're given that, you're inherited, you're not the first line of an HR director, meaning some of them have like a HR VP that, has already put all that stuff in place. You're just basically whatever's already in place, you're making sure that stuff happens. Now, being HR director in a hotel and a company, like a regular company, is a little different, right? It is a little different. So, where am I? So compensation, let me just finish this. They work with the GM to ensure that all compensation structures align with overall business strategy. Okay. And then legal compliance. Of course, we want to make sure everything is legally, above board. Ensuring compliance with labor laws and regulations is a crucial part of HR director's role. Yes, it is. They stay informed about changes in employment laws and work to mitigate legal risks for the hotel. Of course, you want to, eliminate as many risks for the hotel or employees or whatever that you can, right? So that's ultimately their job. Okay, so there's one thing that I did leave out. There's a couple other things on there, but I think this is the most important thing. And a lot of times we tend to forget this, and a lot of times the HR directors forget this. Independent oversight. Okay, so I alluded to this in the paragraph that I started before, right? When I first started this whole thing. Independent oversight. What does that mean, Russell? What are you talking about? I don't know where you are. You lost me. Anyway, I didn't lose anybody because you know what I'm talking about. While HR directors work closely with the GM, general manager, there is an element of independence required to ensure fairness and objectivity in HR decisions. Okay, so that's why, the good HR directors basically don't have friends, right? They go to work, they do what they have to do, and they take their butts home. Okay, they may have, they go out with the team and things like that, but do they stay there all night? No. Do they hang out and, have side conversations? No, they should not be doing that. Okay. And like I said, I'm coming from a place of experience where I witnessed things. I've seen hotels basically get brought to their knees because the relationship between a general manager and the HR director, meaning no one was taking care of the employees or the management, staff. They weren't, keeping them in line because they were busy in cahoots to take certain managers down. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's not how independent HR directors should be independent. As you can see, I've gone through this before. I know how this had worked before, or how it had played out at a couple of hotels that I worked in, and it was because there was a more of a tight relationship, or maybe it was a relationship where the HR director was afraid to lose his or her job, because if the GM didn't like what him or her were doing, they could have had that person replaced. You know what I mean? So you have to, as an HR director, you got to have a thick skin, okay? And from day one, and this is how it should be. And I don't know, like I said, I've never been an HR director, but I've been a general manager before, right? And was I friends with the No. We all had jobs to do, right? Because what happens if I'm the one in question, right? And then if we have this friendly relationship where we go out and have drinks every Friday after work, and then it comes time that there's someone filed a complaint or a grievance or anything about me, then you got to be a third party. You got to be indecisive about what's going on. You got to what are the facts here? Regardless if Russell and I are friends or whatever. No. So that's why you should never even be there. You should never even have that kind of relationship. You have a working relationship that can be cordial. That's fine. But at the end of the day, you go home. So let me finish what I'm saying. Let's see. While working closely with the GM, there's an element of independence required to ensure fairness and objectivity in HR decisions. HR directors may need to address issues involving the general manager or other members of the leadership team, and having a degree of independence helps maintain integrity in HR process. So that's the thing, right? A lot of hotels, and like I said, I don't work on property anymore. I've been off property for about 6 years, but that does not stop people from calling me and telling me what's going on in their said properties, right? Like, oh, HR and the GM. It's always HR and the GM, that kind of stuff. I'm like, well, what's going on? I'm not asking, they're telling me, right? So when they're telling me things that, managers are getting away with things because there's a favoritism, because HR is favoring certain people, because the GM is favoring those people, because the HR and the GM are in together. They're in cahoots. That's not how it should be, okay? HR people, if you're out there, especially if you work in a hotel, you are an independent person. I mean, you have a role that has to be, like I said, I mentioned the independent oversight. Your job is to oversee everything, not have a bias for anything. You take all the facts and you act on the facts. That's basically what it comes down to. So, this thing that and like I said, this hearsay. This is what I'm hearing. I got to think that where there's smoke, there's fire. There's several hotels that I keep hearing about. It's not just, one or whatever. And, no, I'm not going to mention the hotels. No, I'm not going to mention the people. And that's not important. What's important is that those people know that they are independent. They have to be independent of the general manager as well as independent of the other managers or directors, okay? Because they have to act, with the company in mind, right? It's about the company. It's about the hotel. It's not about each individual person. It's about the company. Overall, is the hotel being damaged by this? Okay. So just make sure that we are independent, that we're not working in conjunction with, we distance ourselves from, because that's the important thing. You have to distance yourself. And if you don't like it, then maybe that's not for you. Maybe being an HR director at a hotel is not for you. I mean, that's just it, because there has to be a level of, is it called anonymity, where, you're kind of out there on your own, right? So that's how it should work. Like I said, this conversation comes from, my experiences, my own personal experience, and, just the conversation I've been having with people. So there you go. Like I said, some of the things people will agree with, some people will not listen to, and that's fine. But if it's something that, I think that needs to be said, then, It's my job to say it. Okay, so Russell of Hotels, that's what I do. No, this is what I do. I mean, I do these daily check-ins daily. I also have a show called On Air with Russell of Hotels, where I talk about the good, the bad, the ugly of the hospitality industry. Okay, mostly all good. And not saying this conversation was a bad conversation, but it's a conversation that needs to be had because I think we're hiring a lot of HR people from other industries, and we don't understand, or they don't understand what they're getting themselves into. Okay, it can be rather difficult if you've never worked in a hotel environment, and well, my job is I'm a new HR director. I'm trying to be friends with everybody. No, you can't be friends with everybody. You're there to have a job. You're there to do a job, right? And you have to be independent in doing that job. So there you go. That's it. So hey, like I said, I come on and do these daily. Today is Thursday, November 16th. If you didn't like this one, guess what? I'll be back tomorrow to do another one. So Russell Hotels, when you do these lives, always make sure you tell them three things: who you are, what you do, and how you can help. Those are things, how in lieu of like the elevator pitch, the old thing is, I got to get my elevator pitch together. People like stressed out about what is this elevator pitch? Why don't you just tell them who you are, what you do, and how you can help? And if things fall in line, okay. If not, you keep it moving, right? So three things let me just tell you. I'm Russell Edmond, right? Go by the name of Russell of Hotels. Number two, what do? I do hotel site selection. For the most part, let's just say I do hotel site selection. So which that means I assist companies and organizations with finding that right hotel for their meeting, their conference, their convention. 10 rooms or more is considered a group. So I've done as least amount as 10 rooms for a company or organization. I've done as many as 650 rooms on a peak night. Okay. Contract negotiations, pricing negotiation, those are things that I do for the client, right? So it starts with an RFP process, request for proposal. I compile that forward based on their specifics, send that to my CVB partners, and it gets disseminated to our hotel partners. Hotel partners respond back to me, and then whatever information I get, I compile that, give it to my client, or we have a discussion about that, and we go from there. If they choose a hotel, then we go to the contract stage or the sales agreement stage, and we make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and everything they need is in that contract. They sign the contract, me and my client signs the contract, and then we go from there. Spaces, box, all that stuff. I'm giving you the fast version, but that's basically how it helps. That's basically what I do. And then how does it help my client? Well, it takes the hotel site selection, the RFP process. It takes that off their desk. They don't have to worry about that. So that's how they help. So like I said, I mentioned first, what's your name, what you do, and how you can help. That's it. That's all you need, right? So any questions at all, please feel free to, send me a message like you guys always do. I appreciate the messages that you do send. I'm not just here on LinkedIn. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm even on TikTok. Okay. So anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you again for joining. Appreciate you as always.